Disclaimer. To the Pharisees and Karens out there.
How dare you!
All guests on this show do not reflect the opinions of the host. The purpose of this show is to have interesting conversations, stretch our minds, and grow.
Not what we want!
If you are looking for an echo chamber, viewer and listener discretion
is advised.
You talk about extreme.
What is happening and what is up? Hold out your glass, because we're about to fill it up.
Torches high.
Look at it from a different perspective.
Hey guys, what is happening and what is up? Hold out that glass, because you know what time it is. We're about to fill it up. Welcome to the Prometheus Lens Podcast, the place where the conversations are always enlightening. I'm your host, Doc Brown, and here we like to use the allegory of the Prometheus Lens to take a second look at everything. Hey, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the hero's journey. Be sure and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to check out this banner down below with all of our social medias at their various platforms. That would be much appreciated. Hey guys, got another banger lined up for you. Got one of my brothers from another mother's. We've hung out in the woods eating Skittles together, searching for the Sam Squanch. You've seen him on here before talking about the mushroom people. But bringing him back on, he's been doing some research on this place called Laurel Canyon. And I was like, hey, cool. Is that some kind of cryptid spot or something? So yeah, it shows you. I'll be learning some stuff today. So I'd like to welcome back to the show Kevin from Where the Weird Ones Are.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, Doc. I really appreciate it. Anytime I get to connect with you is amazing. I enjoy your show. I enjoy your content, and you're somebody that I respect and truly value opinions of. So I'm happy to be able to take this time to converse with you.
Well, man, I appreciate your time. Hey, for anybody that's maybe new to the show or haven't seen that episode that we've done together or something like that, or maybe just a new listener, just go ahead and give introduction to yourself, what you do, and just give everybody a feel if they don't know who Kevin is.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I would like to say to the people who have watched the episode that I was on first time, these are not glasses. These are blue light lenses. So they help protect my eyes from the blue light projecting because I'm on the computer a lot. So I don't want to ruin the gift that I was given by the mushroom people, if that's a real story. Again, like I've said in that episode, I'm not 100% sure if that's a real encounter or not. But in case it is, I don't want to spoil the gift of sight and ruin my eyes by staring at these computers all day long. Because I do have a couple shows now so editing is takes some time, and you're just staring at a computer. Anyways, so I am Kevin. I am the host of Where the Weird Ones Are podcast, where we talk about paranormal, supernatural, conspiracies, spirituality, mental health, all that stuff. I bring on a guest every week. We talk about their experiences, among other things, and things that we might or may not agree with. But regardless, I love having these conversations. I really love focusing on the mental health aspect of these encounters and whatnot. And but yeah, so that's the show in a little knit tight bow. And where it can be found is where the weird ones are podcast.com. That's actually the best place to go out of all the places, because you can learn a little bit about the show. You can see some other stuff that I'm affiliated with. You can also get merch like the t-shirt behind me. There's a whole bunch of other designs. I also have hot sauce, coffee, and supplements on there. And I do write short stories. So I have a book out too that I wrote, and I love writing. That's really what I want to do with my life, is to write fictional stories. So yeah, if you're interested, check out my short stories. But you can also find me on Instagram, where _ the weird ones are. That's another place that I'm pretty active. But the show is anywhere you can find podcasts. I'm also on YouTube. So yeah, that's all the places.
And I am a repeat customer of the hot sauce. I highly recommend the lemon squeeze and the down the rabbit hole. Both of those are very nice.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you, coming back. First of all, second of all, I am currently trying to figure out how to make a hot sauce out of ghost peppers and pineapple. So I haven't quite gotten it down yet. I'm just trying to figure out the ingredients right now. The ghost peppers are upstairs in the fridge right now, and I need to figure out something with them before they go bad. So you're probably going to be my first test subject. Out of the people in my house, because nobody here likes hot sauce other than me in my house. So I definitely have to send you one. Actually, I'm gonna be crossing through Tennessee, so maybe I'll stop by and hand it to you in person. So
Nice, man. I'll be your guinea pig any day.
dope. I've really wanted to make a hot sauce out of ghost pepper, and I just didn't know really what to pair it with. And I think like the citrusy and the sweetness of a pineapple, like you can get that sweetness and that really tasty tardiness out of a pineapple, but then like still get that heat that a lot of people like. And I don't know, I think the ghost pepper and the pineapple make good partners in that.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely love I never thought that I'd be liking a hot sauce that's based on carrot juice, but that's what down the rabbit hole is, and I absolutely love that stuff.
Yeah. So for the listeners, I'm friends with a gentleman. His name's David, and his Instagram handle is Down the Rabbit Hole. So like everything he does is like all of his merch and stuff like that is like Down the Rabbit Hole stuff. And he actually suffered a heart attack not too long ago. So he had asked if I could make a hot sauce that was inspiration from his name, like his account. And I was like, yeah, man. So I came up with Down the Rabbit Hole hot sauce. I was like, what am I making it out of? So because he was doing another podcast with another woman. Her name was Amanda. I'm not 100% sure if that podcast is still going to be going, but it's called One Nothing Podcast. If you're interested in like true crime and freak accidents and like people dying by the hands of animals. But anyways, so he asked me to do something like that. I'm like, what would the flavor be? Like dirt or whatever? And he's like, well, maybe grass. And then she was like, carrots? I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I made it a carrots, and I really think like the cumin kind of like brings out the flavor out of the carrots, and I'm really happy that you like it. I wasn't 100% sure if people were gonna like a carrot based hot sauce, but it's fucking hot. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's delicious. I always, I'm out and I ordered some, so because I use it so often. But I put it on my eggs, I put it on my pizza and pasta, I put it on everything.
Dope, dude, dope. I love hearing that. That's awesome. I have to say too. So I up your address, right? You already know that. I got the box back, and I was like, oh, son of a gun. But then when I went in, because I used a different tag label thing, and I was like, I'm just gonna go back to the one that I was using, and your address is actually saved in that one. So if I would have used that to begin with, your address would have came out correctly. But then I would have had to send you another one because I wasn't paying attention, and you ordered two packs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, so I sent out the 2, and then so I sent you 2 more in one. So you're getting 6 bottles instead of 4.
Oh yeah,
because I felt bad. I was like, son of a dude. Not only did I f this guy's freaking address up, but I also sent him only 2 when he ordered 4. So now I was like, and I love you, man. So like, I had to. So
Oh yeah, I done spread the love with some guys that I work with, and I told them, I was like, "Hey, I'm about to order some bottles. You want some?" He's like, "Yeah, get me one of each too."
nice. I love that, man. I think a lot of people come together when it comes to food. So to have something to put that taste that you like, for taste on your food, it makes me happy to help bring people together, I guess, in a way.
Oh yeah. Well, Laurel Canyon. This is something you've been diving down on, and you've obviously found some really good rabbit holes, pun intended. So you're the guide on this journey, man. Tell us what you found and what stood out to you.
Yeah, so I've heard about Laurel Canyon a lot, like during the 60s, the free love movement and stuff like that. That I used to think so. I used to think that this was just like a cave that again people went into, and we're doing like this weird ritual, but it's really just a residential area outside, just on the outskirts of LA, in the hills. And there's a whole lot of talk of MKUltra and with it, but I really started back before it was even really a thing. So I'll really start like from the dirt road to the counterculture. If I can freaking speak, oh my god, counterculture mecca that is Laurel Canyon. So Laurel Canyon was originally intended to be an upscale residential getaway in the early 1900s. So like when you think about it, you want to think rustic charm, cooler air, in the LA basin, the scenic beauty, perfect for rich dwellers looking to escape the growing chaos of the downtown LA. So being in LA without being in LA. So development took off around 1907 to 1910 when a man named Charles Mann, Mann, a wealthy real estate developer, started promoting the canyon as a vacation and residential spot. He envisioned it as Laurel Canyon Park, a scenic neighborhood with a trolley line, cottages, and rustic lodges. So really, he was envisioning it as just like a park area. So nothing like upscale, none of these big houses that are out there now. He was thinking more trees and greenery than streets and streetlights. So some of the key developments were like the Lookout Inn, which was built in 1912 at the top of the canyon. It was meant to attract tourists and home buyers, so like a place for when people are trying to scope out the area to buy, they could just stay there for a day or two. And so you had the road development, and then the trolley access. The Laurel Canyon line was added by the Pacific Electric Railway. So the red car system, giving city folks easy access to the hills. So this really helped promote sales as well. And weekend cabins. Like, you want a cabin just to come stay the weekend? Let's do that.
Kind of
So
doing Gatlinburg here in Tennessee.
yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. So Gatlinburg, dude, I did not realize that how touristy that place was until I was there in July. But it was great. It's so there's there's a town up here that's like that, and I hate it because I have to drive through it during work. But when I was at Gatlinburg and I just walked across the street without looking. And because, I mean, I don't know, but I was like, I should not have done that. And I looked really quick, and there was a car slowing down to stop for me. And I waved to him and I said sorry and stuff. And I was like, I can see how you could get lost doing this. Just so like now when I drive through that town after experiencing being a tourist, technically in Gatlinburg, now when I drive through that town, I was like, I was like, I get it. You're out of state. You're retarded.
I love
Oh,
going there,
man.
but it's like I hadn't been in a long time. But since we went to that Bigfoot conference, that's the first time I'd actually been in Gatlinburg in many years. And then I got stuck in that traffic trying to get home, and literally the
Oh,
main
man.
drag I had to only take I had to maybe go a mile down the main drag and take this back road that took me through Newport and back to home. But that 1 mile trek during rush hour, bumper to bumper, it took me over an hour to get 1
Jeez.
mile. And I was like, I'm
Damn.
reminded why I don't come back to this place.
Yeah. Yeah. When the kids and I first got there, I was just like, "Ooh," so like we're coming around a corner and it's kind of like, it's not city yet. It's not like as like the main strip. And we're coming around a corner. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then friggin' all of a sudden stopped cars and I'm like, whoa. And I'm looking and I see all these there's like several intersections off of this little I was like, oh no, what the frick did we get ourselves into? I was like, this is terrible. And then I didn't know where I was going and I was freaking pissing people off. I'm sure I was. Nobody blew their horn or yelled at me, but I'm sure people were like, dude, what are you doing? So, and then finding my Airbnb was a hard time, but we figured it out. It was stressful for a good hour, but we made
If
it.
you've not been, it's definitely for the we call it the bucket list to go do it and say you've experienced it. But I guess when you live next to it, it's like I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Don't want to go back.
I do want to go back next year. I might apply to vend with my hot sauce and stuff next year, maybe. I don't know yet, but I did enjoy like the moonshine tasting and shit like that. So, and there's so many people that I know that's close to the area, so it'd be
Yeah,
cool
for sure.
to hang out with a bunch of people.
Or if I end up getting a table next year, you could just come hang out at my table and set your sauce out, man.
Yeah, I could do that too. That'd be dope. I would greatly appreciate it. But anywho, so back to Laurel Canyon. Gatlinburg sucks, but it's great at the same time. So the celebrity appeal for the Laurel Canyon really took off in the 20s and the 30s. It started attracting Hollywood like silent film stars and a bunch of like the creative people, so people that wrote film, people that were artsy and stuff like that. They really liked the canyon's privacy and the proximity to the studios. Like I said just a couple minutes ago, like people really loved the fact that they were in LA without being in LA. So there was a massive fire in 1929 that took out the Lookout Inn and several other structures. So that's kind of slowed the high end development for a little while. When it comes to who actually built the canyon, it wasn't really built by Charles Mann, so there's no big conspiracy on the building of it and putting together of it, because there was several single builder developers. So it was a whole bunch of entrepreneurs, like trolley companies as well, trying to set up something up there because the trolley line was going up there and all that. The Los Angeles Pacific Railroad was a part of the Electric Railroad was a part of the growth in Laurel Canyon. And then obviously eventually individual artists, hippies, musicians, and freaks, I guess, is the best way to describe. That's how a lot of these articles that I've looked up describe them as, either hippies or freaks, who turned it into a creative hideout. And that's essentially what it is now, is a whole bunch of screenwriters, actors, musicians, and all that live up there. So from hillside getaway to cultural furnace, by the 40s and 50s, the area was filled with funky houses, secluded cabins, and a live and let live vibe. It was cheap, weird, and full of potential.
If you're someone who still thinks the wild has secrets, who feels stories woven into the wind, this brand's going to hit home. The Soul Squatch makes Squatch-approved gear. And I don't mean that lightly. This stuff is functional, yes, but it's laced with legend. It's for people who believe in what's out there and what it brings out of them. They're hats, beanies, stickers. They're designed by folks who live and breathe the myth. No gimmicks, just real outdoor gear with soul. Go to thesoulsquatch.com and find something made for fellow believers, wanderers, or anyone who still listens when the woods go quiet.
And this made it the perfect storm for the 1960s counterculture to take root. By the time Jim Morrison and Frank Zappa moved in, the original dream of a tidy residential resort had been fully swallowed by something far stranger. And we all know how Frank Zappa and Jim Morrison were some freaking strange people.
Oh yeah,
At least
they like to take their spirit journeys.
No, yeah.
Break on through to the other side.
Absolutely. So in the mid 60s, we had the Vietnam War, civil rights protests, and the establishment was under fire from pretty much all sides. And suddenly a new wave of music rises from the hills of Laurel Canyon. So you had a bunch of key players. So like I said, Jim Morrison of the Doors. You had Frank Zappa, David Crosby, Stephen Stills, Joni Mitchell, Jackson Browne, Mama Cass, and even the Monkees, which was a manufactured pop band that strangely was present in the mix. It was a little different from everybody else, but still, they're still creative and still interesting. But they all lived, partied, wrote, and jammed in this bohemian paradise. So they all were close. They all talked. They all worked together. They all ate together. They all probably each other and stuff like that, because they're, back then, dude, in the 60s, you can go to somebody's house, weird stuff happens at these parties.
Yeah, especially just the group of people you got there. They're all artists. You got musicians, film writers, actresses, and all these people are very, eclectic, to say the least. And usually your creators and stuff like that are the ones experimenting with all the drugs and things like that in the height of the 60s. So, yeah, this was a perfect recipe for some chaos, that's for sure.
Absolutely. But little did we know. So Laurel Canyon just happened to be a few blocks from Lookout Mountain Air Force Station, which was a top secret military film studio. So full-blown government installation.
Was this the NASA moon landing facility?
I'm not 100% sure about that per se, but they definitely were involved with a lot of propaganda from the military for the Vietnam War and stuff. So they would make a lot of videos for that, films for that. So it's just really weird that they had this government installation right next to a bunch of rock stars. Just a few miles, kind of strange. But
and I talked to you too in pre-roll. I didn't know if you actually had time to look it up. I had heard, I think through, let's see, Mark, Magic or Mystic Mark from My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. I seen somebody went on his show and was talking about Morrison, and they said something like his dad was like a Fed or a Secret Service man or part of MKUltra, something like that, that Morrison's dad was tied to the government somehow. Have you heard that or know anything about that, or am I just making stuff up?
No, you definitely heard something, which we are going to get into. Not right now, but he comes up in a minute.
Yeah. Whoa,
So,
Hossy,
but
I'm getting
yes,
ahead of the cart.
yeah, but you are on that vent. You are correct. You're not like his dad is involved in the government, which actually Frank Zappa's father was as well. So let's talk about real quick before we move on. We'll talk about the Lookout Mountain Air Force Station. So this operated in the 40s through 1969. So it doesn't really have a specific like start date. It just says the 40s, but it stopped operation in 69, at least on paper. It was used to produce training films, nuclear test documentation, and Cold War propaganda. So, not Vietnam propaganda. I was incorrect on that. It was the Cold War. Um, so it wasn't your average base. It had full sound stages, film processing labs, secret vaults, Hollywood grade editing suites, even classified animation departments. So, like animated AI or however you want to think about it, cartoon stuff, um, stuff they could just create without using actual people. Um, so, Hollywood professionals were flown in and given security clearances on this base as well. And this is where it gets strange. Nobody knew this place even existed until years later. Um, so the question that I really had, and a lot of people have had, is what else was being filmed there, and
Right.
why? Well, yeah, why a place, and why place a covert military propaganda studio right in the middle of a neighborhood that was exploding with musical and social influence? Really weird.
Yeah.
So
What
like,
is that program they talked about? They done that. They put plants into the media outlets and Mockingbird, right?
yes, yeah, yeah. So like I said, like the development for Laurel Canyon happened in the early 1900s, and this base wasn't even a thing until the 40s. So and it only operated for 20 years, and then it was done. Or supposedly. So it was supposedly done after 20 years in 1969. So 40s to 1969. And these people were already moving out there and doing weird long before that base was even a thing. So either they were like, let's get in with these weirdos out here, let's do some weird
Or they could be the ones supplying the drugs to these weird people because the whole MKUltra stuff, how they were experimenting with all these psychedelics and stuff. It's like, we'll give them these drugs and we think we can control their minds from the experiments we've been doing. So maybe we can get these heavily influential people under our control and we can create a narrative.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Frank Zappa's dad fucking is a strange guy. Um, so let's talk about our key players here. So Jim Morrison, the Lizard King himself, which he dubbed it. This is the name that he put on himself. Nobody fucking called him the Lizard King except for him. So his dad was Admiral George Stephen Morrison, the Navy officer who commanded U.S. forces during the Gulf of Tonkin incident. And we're going to get into the Gulf of Tonkin here in a minute, but it was a shady event that helped justify America's full entry into Vietnam. It was most likely, actually, wasn't most likely, it was definitely a false flag event. And then we got Frank Zappa. His father worked in chemical warfare at Edgewood Arsenal, a site linked to MKUltra research.
I'm talking about say chemicals, huh?
Yeah, dog. Yeah. So Zappa also grew up on military bases, like Jim Morrison. David Crosby, a descendant of a powerful Van Cortlandt dynasty, part of American elite lineage. Stephen Stills claims he served time in Central America. There are whispers that he may have worked alongside covert military units before becoming famous, but there's nothing concrete on him in that aspect. So John Phillips of the Mama and the Papas attended elite military academies. His dad was a Marine intelligence officer. And that's a whole lot of stars with military roots. It doesn't actually scream "stick it to the man," does it?
Oh yeah, and they're all condensed in this one canyon, this one piece of land.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets it's super interesting how, people find each other. Um so the summer of 1964, the US is deep in the Cold War. Tensions with communism are white hot, and Vietnam is the next piece on the chessboard. So then you cue the USS Maddox, a sleek, heavily armed destroyer slicing through the warm waters of the Gulf of Tonkin, just off the coast of North Vietnam. So you got that thing sitting out there, slicing through the water, doing its thing. On August 2nd of 1964, the U.S. claims the Maddox is patrolling in international waters when 3 North Vietnamese patrol boats allegedly rush in, guns blazing. So the Maddox opens fire. Planes from a nearby planes from the nearby aircraft carrier scramble to the scene. A skirmish ensues. One Vietnamese boat is reportedly sunk. The rest of them flee. No American lives were lost. Minor damage, tense, but pretty much manageable. Nobody wasn't anything unmanageable or chaotic, I guess, but they were shooting at a bunch of other boats, and supposedly were getting fired upon. So, 2 days later, on August 4th, the Maddox and a second ship, the USS Turner Joy, report another attack. This time, it's a full-on torpedo assault in the dead of the night. Also, stormy seas. So there was a storm. So the sea wasn't very settled. And crews report radar contacts, sonar blips, phantom torpedoes in the water, guns roar, depth charges explode, and Navy fights back in the dark. But there's just one problem, homie. There's one problem. The attack never happened.
Oh, all that detail.
Yeah. Yeah. So, not a scratch on either of those ships. No enemy boats were recovered, no sailors harmed, no torpedoes actually seen, just radar echoes, freak weather, and nervous fingers on triggers was pretty much all that happened. So why did this phantom battle matter? Well, within 48 hours, President Lyndon B. Johnson, who took over for JFK, by the way, from an assassination attempt, which I think this might have been a part of why he was assassinated, was so that they could go into Vietnam. Anyways, so Johnson went before Congress with a fiery speech. He claimed the U.S. had been attacked again, unprovoked. Congress responded with the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, giving Johnson the authority to wage war in Vietnam without a formal declaration. And
So
then
this
boom.
was a false flag event. Stir up fear and chaos for the solution that you are trying to achieve.
Absolutely. So they made up this attack, this whole battle out there in the sea against these Vietnam boats, and there was no evidence of this battle ever happening. And Johnson just ran with it and was like, "Let's go into Vietnam." So that's how the war in Vietnam started, was from this.
Yep.
So
Another story of weapons of mass destruction.
a lot of innocent people, not only Vietnamese but American lives, were lost over this stupid story of that didn't happen, just so we could go in there for what? For the poppy seeds? For the heroin?
Yep, I've heard that, and I've also heard it was like a population control type thing. That that's something the global elites always talk about. The number one concern is population control. So
Yeah.
I've heard people say that was just to cut down on a lot of the baby boomers in that generation, and also where it was the 60s, everybody was free love dopies, and they weren't contributing to the society. So therefore, round up all those people of that age, send them off to a war to never return.
Yeah. 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 Don't come back. You ain't coming back. You ain't furthering your lineage. That kind of a lot of families, like between the world wars and the Vietnam War, the Korean War, there's a few family names that don't exist anymore because of those wars. So, yeah, it sucks, man. It's it brings me into modern days when I think about stuff like this. We were talking pre-roll of things that are going on now. Now I forgot where I was going. I had this whole spiel in my head, and I forgot where I was going with this thought.
It's probably a lie. That's what I always say.
It probably was.
It's probably a lie.
God damn it! I was about to lie to you. God damn it! No, then it brings me to think about like all the things that we've been lied to about, to get us to do certain things, and I'm sick of it. I'm so over it. It's we shouldn't have to do things just because somebody, like the government or the media, says so. That's where I'm at. And I just want a piece of land somewhere, live on it. Society can go off for all I care. That's all I want. I want to be on my own, do my own thing, less government. That's what I really want. I'm sick of these games. Like when I was looking into this, dude, like looking in the Gulf of Tonkin, there's so many other things. It's not just the Gulf of Tonkin, but there's so many other false flag events. And I'm freaking so tired of it. I'm so tired of reading about it, And a lot of them, they're like, yes, it's a conspiracy, but it's no longer a theory. We know that it happened. Just like with the Gulf of Tonkin, we know that it happened. We know it happened, that it did. Well, we know that it didn't happen,
Oh, yeah. All that stuff ends up coming out sooner or later, but usually it's after the fact and it's too late and they've achieved the goal they wanted.
Yeah, 60 years later. Yeah. So, but yeah, so America was into the Vietnam War. The draft notices are followed. Helicopters roared, napalm fell, 58,000 Americans would die. Millions of Vietnamese civilians and soldiers too. All sparked by an event that didn't happen.
Hey guys, it's no secret that every single day your dollar loses its value. If a man invested $1,000 in silver in the 60s, today that same $1,000 would have magically turned into almost $30,000. Silver and gold only continues to increase in value. If you have a 401k or money sitting in savings. That is just a number in a computer system that is one EMP or hack away from being deleted forever. I have recently teamed up with Cornerstone Assets and Metals and started investing in gold and silver myself. And I highly encourage the listeners, if you have money in savings just sitting there, invest it in hard, tangible assets. The same thing with your 401ks. Take a 20 to 30% cut of that 401k, that number in a computer system, and invest into hard, tangible assets that is proven to only increase in value. Be sure to check out the link in the description or the number on the screen, and be sure to tell them that Doc Brown from Prometheus Lens sent you. Torches high, guys.
So, conspiracy angle. I wrote this down. Years later, declassified documents and tapes were revealed. Obviously, that's how I know this information. The U.S. Navy was conducting covert attacks on North Vietnam, which is Operation 34A, before the incident. There's no reason, it doesn't give a reason why they were conducting this covert attack, but that's what they were doing. Johnson knew the second attack was shaky at best, and he even told staffers that he wasn't sure that this was, concrete, and he still went in front of Congress. It's like, let's go for it. Let's go into Vietnam. And intelligence was cherry-picked and hyped up just to justify the escalation to war. So, in short, it was a perfect pretext wrapped in in patriotism and panic. And it worked, obviously, as we know from history. So the Gulf of Tonkin incident became textbook example of media manipulation, government deception, and manufactured consent. It showed how easy it is to whip up a war with the right timing, the right narrative, and a few pings on a sonar screen. So next time you hear about mystery attacks, blurred radar, and threats on the horizon, ask yourself, are we being told the truth? Or are we back in the Gulf of Tonkin just chasing ghosts in the water? Pretty strange, you know? So, but I got this. So the other place I'd like to talk to you about that also has to do with the Laurel Canyon is Edgewood Arsenal, which has been dubbed Uncle Sam's Mad Science Lab. So this is where Frank Zappa's dad comes into play.
Okay.
So imagine a place where mad science met military ambition and a secluded outpost in the woods of Maryland, where men in lab coats and military uniforms cooked up chemicals that could blind you or turn your mind into scrambled eggs. This is Edgewood. I always want to say Edgecombe for some reason. I have no idea why. Edgewood Arsenal, where for over half a century, the U.S. government ran one of the most controversial and secretive chemical warfare programs in modern history. And to be honest with you, this place is still running today. So
when did it get started? Like after or around the Vietnam War, or was this something around World War II? Because that sounds a lot like Hitler and the SS, making methamphetamines and stuff like that for their soldiers.
Yeah. So let's see. World War One. We're around World War One. So it was the 1920s when this place was erected. Pun intended, because chemicals can make erections. I don't know if that was funny. But it's So it's actually in my neck of the woods or close to it. It's in just located on the outskirts of the in the northeast of Baltimore, um, of Maryland. So it was a playground for scientists with government backing and no shortage of human test subjects. So they had people in and out of this place. So World War I, chemical weapons were the horror of the trenches, mustard gas. Um, I can never say this word correctly, I don't think, or at least I'm not 100% sure, but phosgen, chlorine, phos, phosgenia chlorine. I don't know, something like that. Either way, it's a chemical you don't want to fuck with. Uh, it's the actually I wrote what I read about it. So the kind of stuff that melted your lungs from the inside. After the war, countries swore never again. So from 1920s onward, Edgewood Arsenal became actually. So this, I think, this place was built before the 20s. So before World War I, it might have already been in operation. But all I have is the start of it was in the 20s. Um, so it became America's central hub for researching nerve agents like sarin, soman, and VX, blister agents like mustard gas and lewisite, choking agents, psych chemical agents, riot control gases, and all things associated with those. So, like riot control stuff that we see today, obviously, stuff like that was perpetuated here, or well, was created here at in this lab. Um, Things that can make your skin blister, things that can make you choke when you breathe it in, things that could make your eyeballs burst out of your head, all that kind of freaky that you see in horror movies. This is what they were doing at this base. 1955 to 1975, in what's known as the Edgewood human experiments, the U.S. Army used over 7,000 military volunteers as guinea pigs. And granted, we can't really say anything because they were volunteers. We can't, you know, put the yeah, can't put the blame on them, I guess. As we can't call them victims technically, but they were regardless. They told these men it was safe. They were helping their country. What they weren't told, the experiments would include exposure to LSD in high doses without warning, testing of BZ, which is a quins. I should have had the side notes and my post notes on what this actually was, because I remember not being 100%, not being sure of what this was, so I really looked into it, but I didn't friggin' write the side note on here, so I apologize for that. But it was a mind altering drug that caused confusion, hallucinations, and sometimes weeks of psychosis. But what BZ actually is, what it's made out of and stuff, I had a side note of how they got it and stuff. LSD, everybody knows LSD by now, but it so that
Timothy Leary, tune in and drop out.
yeah. Yeah. So the BZ is I wrote this down, but I'm gonna, you know what? I'm not even gonna say the actual name for the BZ is, but so if everybody listening, if you want to look it up, it's just a testing drug called BZ. And you can come up. It should show you. It should, if Google hasn't swiped it yet, the actual information on it. But so inhalation and absorption of nerve agents like VX and sarin, which could kill in micrograms. So you didn't need a whole lot of this stuff, and it could kill you. Testing in incapacitating agents. Testing of incapacitated agents to turn enemies into drooling zombies instead of corpses. So like the LSD and stuff like that to, really get it into their system so they would wake up like not knowing what the going on. One volunteer said it was like being thrown into a nightmare and not knowing when you'd wake up. So what was what was the goal really, right? To figure out how to disable enemies without bullets, or more darkly, how to control minds on the battlefield.
Yeah, I'd say both if they could achieve it.
Yeah. So BZ was really the star of the show. Again, for the listeners, if you really want to look into what BZ is and what it contains and, stuff like that, I highly recommend you doing so. So don't take everything to heart. Do your own research. Look up. I think that's the best way for not only America, but for the world to come together. Once you realize how easy it is to look up, like how easy it is to find out things that somebody said for real, rather than reading a meme of something that they said that was untrue. Anyways, so let's talk about BZ, shall we? Apparently I did write a little bit more about it, and I'm sorry that I jumped the gun by saying that I didn't put a side note in here. This wasn't your average acid trip. So BZ caused total disassociation. Disassociation. There we go, Kevin. Good job, bud. I'm proud of you. From reality. And it also caused the inability to speak, walk, and follow orders. Also, hallucinations that lasted 3 to 5 days.
Oh, wow.
Sounds
Cheech
a lot
and
like
Chong. Hope you're not busy for about a month, man.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, that was my side note on that. So yeah, it's fuck. So BZ fucks, you're not, you get that shit in your system, you're gone for a while. You could be meditating in the desert. You know what I mean? Jim Morrison.
Yeah. Makes you wonder if it like that Batman comic back in the day, Scarecrow and his fear gas.
Yep, the fear gas. Yeah. So it was so powerful, even the Pentagon eventually shelved it, calling it too unpredictable. When the Pentagon calls a drug too crazy, you know you've gone too far. So the CIA got involved too. Surprise, with the Edgewood Arsenal. And it was tied to Project MKUltra, the infamous CIA mind control program. Drugs tested at Edgewood sometimes found their way into covert operations. The boundaries between science and psyops blurred and probably dissolved entirely, to be honest with you. And they probably are still going strong today. So for years, the public didn't know. But in the 70s, lawsuits started stacking up. Veterans came forward, memory loss, nerve damage, PTSD-like symptoms, suicidal ideation, full psychotic breaks. In many cases, these men were denied compensation. Why? Because the government classified the experiments and claimed there was no evidence of wrongdoing. Surprise, surprise, the government saying they didn't do anything wrong. How dare they? Only in the 90s did the U.S. Department of Defense finally acknowledge the program, admitting that the volunteers were not given full informed consent. So a congressional investigation found Edgewood's work so this is quote, may have violated Nuremberg Code. May have.
Yeah. And they do it so many years after that. That way, everybody that was affiliated with it, all the doctors and stuff like that, are dead.
Mm-hmm. Or dying. So yeah. Super interesting. So Edgewood today, the lab still stands, like I've been saying. Edgewood Arsenal still exists, now part of the Aberdeen Proving Ground. Much of the chemical testing has ceased, but the scars still remain, both on land and in the minds of the test subjects. And get this, Frank Zappa's father worked there. The same Frank Zappa who led the Mothers of Invention in Laurel Canyon. His dad was a chemical warfare specialist at Edgewood. So, weird as hell? Absolutely. So,
They had their own chemist.
Yeah, so what are we learning from this little bit of information? We learn that science without ethics is just weaponized curiosity. Governments can and will test the limits, especially if it's in secret. And sometimes the battlefield isn't over there; it's in the lab, in our brains, and in our blood. So this is why this is 100% things like this is 100% why I don't trust the government. I don't. Every time they speak, I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like you're fucking lying or giving us half truths. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
they're
we
there for that.
we always find this shit out 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years after the fact. And the narrative has been woven, and so it's really freaking interesting. It's really interesting when you get down to it. But excuse me. But by the late 60s, LSD was everywhere. We know that. The free love movement, LSD was all through that Timothy Leary's preaching to turn on and tune in and drop out. The hippie movement was growing, and the LSD was its sacrament. So, according to many researchers, including the late Dave McGowan, who wrote Weird Sciences Inside the Canyon, God damn it. The CIA may have used Laurel Canyon as a test bed for social engineering, which honestly wouldn't surprise me with all the stuff they have been doing around this time anyway. We know for a fact that MKUltra was running, that the CIA distributed LSD and controlled environments, which I'm not 100% controlled environments. Maybe
Define
sometimes.
Controlled.
They studied the effects of music, community, and psychedelics on youth behavior. And where better to run those tests than a secluded creative hub of charismatic influencers and vulnerable young fans? So
Ding,
yes,
ding,
there was
ding.
also
Yahtzee.
a lot of pedophilia going on around Laurel Canyon in the 60s as well. You know, you can find it's pretty easy to find out that some of your favorite artists are into people that are younger than 15, and it's gross. It is disgusting.
Are you a hunter, a hiker, or just an outdoor enthusiast? Well, if you are, you know that good quality gear is hard to come by. And finding all-American made is like finding Bigfoot in the woods. Hence the name of Squatch Survival Gear. Head on over to squatchsurvivalgear.com. Use the code PLP10 for 10% off store-wide.
And it bothers me. But anyways, I will continue. So many of the artists of the Canyon era referenced shamanic death and rebirth mythology or occult symbolism in their lyrics and visuals. Jim Morrison openly called himself a shaman. There's no evidence of him actually being an actual shaman, but he liked to call himself that. His lyrics all often invoked I had this word. I freaking sounded it out. I used freaking a thing, and now looking at it, I freaking cannot remember. Dionysia.
Oh, Dionysian.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
That is an end, Kevin.
Dionysus cult.
Yes. Maybe these glasses aren't good for looking at the computer. So Dionysian chaos in ancient rites. He claimed to have seen a Native American spirit enter his body as a child. Coincidence or programming? I don't know. Sounds pretty weird. So let's talk about Dionysian. It refers to the wild, chaotic, emotional instinct driven side of human nature, named after Dionysus, the ancient Greek god of wine, ecstasy, fertility, madness, and ritual frenzy. Which is what does ritual frenzy mean? It's often used in contrast to Apollonian. People are going to be in the comments. This guy with his pronunciations. Apollonian, which symbolizes order, logic, restraint, and rationality, named after Apollo. So the Dionysian spirit is chaos, passion, and liberation. So picture this: a crowd dancing under moonlight, wine is a-flowing, music is a-pounding, people laughing, weeping, screaming, collapsing into eccentric trances. There's no rules, no clocks, just raw emotion and total surrender.
Yep, the ancient cult of the Dionysians, I can't remember what they called them women, but there was a women priestesses and followers, and they would drink these, they drink wine, but it was spiked wine with hallucinogenics, and they would drink till they got into a psychotic frenzy, and that they would kill men or women that were wandering in the woods. So they go out in the middle of the woods and drink themselves into this psychosis, like LSD tripping, and that they would run around naked and just do all kinds of wild, crazy things. But they were known that if a man or a woman, somebody come through while they were in their trance doing their things, that they would just tear them apart and eat them alive. They were cannibals. And I'm trying to think of Orpheus, I believe, when you get into like the Iliad and stuff, that's how he ended up dying. He ended up stumbling across some of these Dionysian cults, and they tore him apart with their hands and ate him.
Oh, wow.
But they believed when they got in this frenzy that the gods dwelled within them. So they were surrendering their body as like a vessel for the god to take over. Even the Apollo's priestesses, they would take drugs and things and get into this frenzy And when they would prophesy and give their readings, it was because they thought that when they were in this state, the God, basically took over.
Oh, wow. Wow. That is, I should, number one, I should have looked into this part further. That's crazy. My God, dude, like what in the world? I can't imagine being that weird. Like I'm weird, but like to be like, I'm doing something because this God has taken over my body. I've hallucinated before, but holy cow, imagine being that like at that level of hallucination where you're literally killing somebody and you're like, this isn't me, this is somebody else doing this. That is freaking wild. But anyways, like that's a lot like that ritual is a lot like being at a concert. What are you doing? You're listening to the music. So like the lyrics are entrancing you. You're losing especially if you're doing drugs and at concerts, which we know happens. I mean, look at what was his name?
That
Travis
Juice World
something.
thing.
I don't know if it was Juice World, but it's Travis something. He had the Chronos freaking symbolism outside or whatever. And you got freaking people started dying, and he was just staring at him, going whoa into the microphone. I'm like, there's a lady dead right there, dude, and you're staring at her, humming into your microphone. That is weird. Travis Scott, that's who it was, the baby daddy of Kendall Jenner or Kylie Jenner. I think it's Kendall. But yeah, that dude is weird. But yeah, so what I have left on the Dionysus was the god who blurred boundaries between sanity and madness, male and female, man and beast, sacred and profane. His followers called Maenads were known for abandoning society to live in a state of frenzied wild devotion.
Yeah, that's the followers I was talking about earlier. I couldn't remember the
Yeah.
name.
So, the philosophical meaning that I found, it's so this German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche
Yeah,
made
Nietzsche.
the Nietzsche. Okay. Uh made the Dionysian famous in his work The Birth of Tragedy. He said Dionysian equals chaos, instinct, intoxication, and ecstasy, where Apollonian is reason, structure, and clarity, self-control, which is pretty much what we've already discussed. So he also believed that the greatest art comes from the balance between the two, Dionysian passion and Apollonian order. So, in pop culture and music, when people describe someone as Dionysian, they usually mean wildly creative, emotionally intense, rebellious, or hedonistic, um, spiritually unhinged in a good but dangerous way. So Jim Morrison, Dionysian, rock concerts that feel like religious experiences, kind of strange. Ritual dancing, rave culture, spiritual possession. It's all Dionysian. In short, to be Dionysian is to embrace the chaos of being alive. It's pleasure without permission, madness with meaning, supposedly. It's the dark side of joy and the freedom that comes with losing control. All sounds fantastic, right? Until you're in it and you're lost.
Yeah, do as thou wilt.
Nope. God gave us free will, so I mean, I'm not going to judge you for it, but somebody will. All right, so let's talk about the death toll in the Laurel Canyon. Mama Cass Elliott, heart failure in 1974, no drugs in her system. Graham Parsons died of a morphine overdose. Then his body was stolen and burned in the desert. Jim Morrison, dead in Paris at 27, no autopsy, no public funeral, just vanished into legend. Some believe he faked his own death. Highly possible, especially when we don't have a body anymore. Kind of weird. Brian Jones, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, all dead at 27, all connected to the Laurel Canyon scene. So this isn't just a 27 club. This canyon is full of corpses. Some theorists suggest ritual sacrifice. Others say it's the cost of rebellion. But a growing number say it's cleanup. People who saw too much, said too much, or were no longer useful. Which we know when you're involved with government programs and stuff, you're removed once your usefulness is gone. Once you realize that these are the bad. I'm working for the bad guys, and you become a whistleblower and shit like that, stuff like that. They're not afraid to take you out. They're not afraid to go to your cell and hang you with your sheet while the camera is recording you at the same time. So I need a freaking drink. But I'm almost done, so it's all good. So here's the bombshell theory. The 1960s counterculture wasn't revolutionary. It was a controlled explosion. Excuse me. So a pressure release valve. Drug use, new age spirituality, anti-political disconnection, an endless cycle of rebellion with no actual threat to the power structure. So, in short, realistically, all it really was to influence people to leave God and to become more heathenistic. That is what I think the whole free love movement was, and I think that this Laurel Canyon enticed that culture. So that's
Now, how does Charles Manson tie into this? Does he tie into this? Wasn't that like where he killed those people, or am I off here?
he didn't kill them in Laurel Canyon, no.
Oh, okay.
No. But he was trying to be a part, like he was trying to be in the scene. He was trying to be a musician and stuff. We all know that. And he wanted desperately to be in the scene. And so MKUltra was perpetuated by this doctor named Dr. Jolly West. And he was working with Charles Manson, but he was also working with Lee Harvey Oswald. So he wrote prescriptions for both. He's dead now. He's been dead for a while. So we were never going to get a confession of things that he was up to, but it is well speculated, and there's some truth to it that he was into the so from what I've learned about Jolly West was that he was a part of the MKUltra program. Whether he put it out through his normal practice or not, I'm assuming that he would have if he was into it anyway, into the programming. So it's speculated that he was giving both Lee Harvey Oswald and Charles Manson the MKUltra drug.
Yep,
which is
definitely makes
really
sense.
interesting.
I never knew that. Like I said, I was ignorant to Laurel Canyon when you first mentioned it to me. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I thought it was a place where cryptids were spotted or something like that. I'd heard the name, I just never really looked into it. So, but the way you laid everything out and how you dug through everything, you have a guy that worked for chemical manufacturing, chemicals for warfare. He was tied with the MKUltra, lived there. You had that was Zappa's dad, right?
Yep.
And then you had Morrison there. His father had connections with the government. You had that government studio there where they did media and things. And you got the whole Project Mockingbird. And then you have all these socialites, people in Hollywood and rock stars, and the drugs flowing. And I'm sure, like you said, it was very fertile ground for testing of drugs and influence of the populace. I think that would have been too good of a thing for these people in government that had their hands in this stuff anyway to resist, to play the cosmic chess game and move some of these people as pawns and do their testing.
I think it was really like the concept building of what entertainment is today. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm not saying that all entertainment, all media is perpetuating propaganda and trying to make us think certain ways. I'm not saying that. I'm sure a lot of it is, but I think they wanted that the entertainment industry to have that much influence over us. And I think that this was really the start of it, was to see how much influence that they could gain, and how they could change the mindsets of people using drugging and using these people to perpetuate a certain message.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. I'd even take a step further in saying that they seen how influential these people were and the effect that they had on the populace. So they tried to inject themselves into that and make some puppets out of these people to say the message that they wanted them to say.
For sure. And we see it all too often, how people, how these influencers are taken out before their time. And a lot of time it's weird circumstances, like Jimi Hendrix, like Jim Morrison, all strange ways, there's even speculation that, Kurt Cobain had gone. I mean, Kurt Cobain was in the 60s, but like there's speculation that he was a part of MKUltra and was in that scene, was around with people out in Laurel Canyon. So there's no evidence on it, but he knew something. He died in a weird way too.
Yep, I agree. And I think it's just, I think we still have this stuff today, but just like the Epstein stuff, they shifted away from drugs and things like that to try to control people. But, I mean, they might use it as a agent of chaos to stir up some chaos and stuff, but I think it's more along the lines of like blackmail. The government, Illuminati, whatever kind of title you want to put on it, these people of power insert themselves into the culture scene to try to gain influence and get their message out. But how they do that is basically just blackmail, have them do stuff with kids, do something shameful that they can get on film as blackmail, and just use these people to do whatever they want and just threaten to show the world their dirty little secrets. And that's how they keep everybody in line now. Well, Kevin, man, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this stuff, and definitely educating me on this. And I'm sure some other people got educated too. And just to see all the connections, and, like we said, a lot of the stuff we don't know for sure, but you can definitely lay out the groundwork and show the dots and try to connect them yourselves. And I don't think it's too far of a stretch to make some of the connections that we talked about today. But man, before we leave, if anybody was, spanking their kids, washing their dishes, or folding some laundry, and they happen to miss the beginning of the show where you introduced yourself, just go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you and your stuff, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I love talking to you. But yes, I'm Kevin from the host of Where the Weird Ones Are. It is a paranormal based podcast, but I do love digging into conspiracies, spirituality, and mental health. Mental health is super important. I think when you have these kind of experiences and you look into things like what we talked about tonight, it's really important and imperative to take care of your own mental health. So if you're not taking care of, how the hell are you going to take some care of somebody else? But anyways, so you can find Where the Weird Ones Are podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. My website is wheretheweirdonесarepodcast.com. I post a lot of stuff on there, like short stories. I have some merch, like the shirt behind me, if you're watching this on video. I have a ton of designs for t-shirts. I also have hot sauce, coffee, and supplements on there as well. Hot sauce is my thing. The coffee and the supplements go through another company, but the hot sauce I make, I bottle, I label, I create the labels and everything all on my own. I also ship it out. So sometimes I get people's addresses wrong and have to send them 20 more. But yeah, so those are all the avenues you can find me. Also, I'm pretty active on Instagram if you're interested in finding me on there. I do host a morning show on YouTube every other Sunday. The next episode is September 28th. So it's every other Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. If you're interested in that, it's called Weird Java in the Morning. I do it with my friend David. And it's like a variety show. We do This Day in History. We do Florida Man stories. We do Guess the Quote, movie quote. We do true crime. And we do a little bit of news and some scary videos. And I have a new podcast coming out that I am a co-host, but I'm also producing it. It's called The Real Verdict Podcast, where we review movies. So it'll be a movie podcast. So I'm excited for that one, to get away from all this like dark and weird stuff, because sometimes, like I said, mental health is important. It's important to take breaks from the doom and gloom sometimes. Although, like, a lot of the there's paranormal experiences and stuff like that, and some conspiracies that end on good. Actually, there's no conspiracies that end on good note. But some stuff is pretty lighthearted. But I think it's important to take breaks and to take care of ourselves. So that's why I'm excited to do this movie podcast and be on a podcast where all I am discussing is the movie and not somebody's dark past.
Yeah, it's always good to take a break from the black pill and just do some silly fun stuff. You got to balance it. One foot in order, one foot in chaos.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. And dude, you have like the best listeners and followers. They're so engaging. I see so much on your feeds from people that listen to your show, and I just want to say that it might not mean anything to you just because we haven't known each other for very long, but dude, I'm so proud of you and what you're doing. It's awesome, and I love seeing it. I love seeing your success. I love seeing your growth. And I love you as a person. So.
No, man, I love you, brother. And I appreciate it, man. But yeah, it's a really cool thing just to step back and let God get a hold of something and just see where it goes. Because I could easily get swelled up in my pride and say, "Oh, look what I've done," but I'm a nobody, man. I know this ain't me, but I've built a good tribe, or I wouldn't say I built. I have gathered, or God has gathered a good tribe around me and what I do, and it's awesome to see the the same people in the chat every single week and conversing with them, getting to know them and stuff. So it's awesome, man. I'm enjoying the journey thoroughly myself.
Yeah. Man, the journey is awesome. The journey is the best part. There's a quote from, what the frick is the show? The Office, where he's like, I wish we knew that we were in the good old days when we were in them. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, these are technically, we're going to look back on these days and be like, man, those were the good old days, of podcasting, or, and stuff like that. And I just, I wish I knew when I was in my good old days and stuff like that. But, I've really enjoyed my own podcast journey. It's brought me to you. It's brought me to people like Drew, Riley. There's so many other people to name, man. There's so many people. And it's really interesting that I started this podcast. So I wouldn't say that I was an atheist or anything like that, but I was just kind of like, yeah, cool. God, whatever. Jesus, cool, whatever. If you want to believe, that's fine. I'm not 100% there, but I'm doing this podcast. I'm talking to a bunch of, Christian people, and, they never like were trying to make me think a certain way. They were just telling their stories. And then all of a sudden one day, my son was like, I made a TikTok. And I go, yeah, what's it about? And he goes, oh, I just post scripture. I was like, what do you mean you post scripture? And he's like, oh, I post things about the Bible and God and Jesus and stuff. And then I've had him on my podcast. I had both my kids, my teenagers. I have 3 kids, but I had my teenagers on my podcast as guests, and we were just talking about things that they may or may not have experienced, and like how they think, what they think of me, and the difference between me and their mother and stuff like that. And my son started saying, if you love Jesus, like towards the end of the episode, he's like, if you love Jesus, you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything wrong. Like, just follow Jesus and everything is going to fall in line. It's something to that effect. It's not exactly that. And I'm just sitting there like, what the where is this coming from? And then that started opening my eyes. Like I've told you, and I've told all my listeners and stuff, like I'm feeling this tug. And then just this past week, like I feel grabbed. I feel like I'm being held. I feel like I'm embraced now. And it's a beautiful thing. So my journey has led me through this podcast, not only to phenomenal people like yourself, but into the arms of God.
Amen. That's definitely praise report. And what's funny is some of my audience, when you went on with me before, and I think when we done that live, and you were talking about, your son coming into contact with Christianity and kind of talking about it, and you're kind of feeling led to maybe read with them some and all this kind of stuff. I can't remember who it was, but one of my regulars commented and said, this is awesome. The Holy Spirit's already starting to work on him. I'll give it a couple months. I want to see him back on saying to give his life over to the Lord. So they'll be grinning from ear to ear when they hear this one.
Oh man. Yeah, it's the weirdest. It's the strangest feeling.
Bless him, Lord. That's awesome. And I'm proud of you, brother, and I love you, man.
Thanks, man. It's been so much fun to do this, and I feel so much love and happiness. And I know that life isn't all about trying to be happy and being comfortable. You got to be uncomfortable to get and unhappy, so that when you are comfortable and happy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I saw a reel. I reposted a reel that you had posted, where you're talking about love, and I really think that that's what we're meant to be. I think that's the true purpose of our existence. Like you said, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time.
Yeah.
We're here to experience love. We're here to give and receive love. And, that's all I want to perpetuate.
Yep, that's what it's all about, man. That's what a lot of people get that have been in the Christian weeds for 20 years, 40 years, think they know it all so well, but they've lost their first love. And that's one thing I think, Jesus was trying to tell everybody. He said they kept getting hung up on the law. And he's like, Rabbi, out of all these, laws and commandments, which one is the greatest? And he just looked at him and was like, you overcomplicate things. Keep it simple, stupid. And he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as you love yourself. You do those two things, you're golden, man, because love fulfills the law. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed that, man. Be sure to check out Kevin's stuff. He is on the journey. Like I say, whether you realize it or not, we are all on the hero's journey. And just remember the difference between the known and the unknown is that journey. So, good journey, guys.